Now, the stabbing of 16-year-old Ben Kinsella brings the number of teenagers violently killed in London this year to 17, and it's part of an overall increase in knife attacks in the capital, ranging from muggings to murders. The dramatic rise has prompted a police initiative called Operation Blunt, but is it having any impact on the streets? Well, in our central London studio is Nathan John, Director of Youth Enlightenment. Thanks very much indeed for joining us, Mr. John. I mean, what do you identify is going on amongst some young people who are carrying knives and other weapons on our streets?
Well, what I see is that a lot of young people are fearful. A lot of young people don't feel secure out on the street, so they're taking things into their own hands by carrying weapons to protect themselves. Or you've got a set of young people who have conflict with others and have aggression, don't know how to deal with that aggression or anger management, and they go out and they're looking to do someone some harm.
OK, well, if anger's underlying it, how do we tackle that?
How do we tackle it? Well, what we need to do is to look at what are they fighting over? What are these arguments about? Can we step in as adults and help resolve some of these problems? Can we teach them techniques and methods to deal with their anger and frustration? It really is down to us as adults to intervene. You know, growing up, I remember that things me and my friends used to get up to, we couldn't do it in public because an adult would always step in and say, "What are you guys doing?" and wave their finger at us. Now we all sit back on the bus, they're making noise behind us, we're on the tube, they're doing something wrong and we're just not getting involved, and we really need to start getting involved.
I mean, you're very right about that. Many adults I know would say in precisely those circumstances that nowadays they wouldn't get involved, mainly because they fear that these young people could be carrying a knife.
Yeah, and there's a strong possibility that a lot of young people are carrying the knives, but they're not going to use it on you just for talking to them. And that's the thing, we have to realise that they're not wild animals. I know they're acting like it right now, but they're not, and we need to start forming more dialogues with them and talking with them and stop looking at them like they're wild beasts. Because if we continue to do that, this problem is only going to continue to spiral out of control like we've seen this year.
So, I mean, do you feel that there's real alienation taking place now between the generations?
Massive alienation, massive generation gap. I mean, one of the benefits I have in talking to young people is that, you know, I work in the city, so, you know, I can talk to adults professionally, all that kind of stuff. But then I remember that when it comes to talking to young people, you kind of have to break down that barrier and even use a bit of slang sometimes, you know, just to make that connection. And there's a massive generation gap, and that needs to be filled. And the young people aren't going to be the ones to step up to the plate. And that's why I'm encouraging, you know, all the Sky viewers now to really look into themselves and say, you know, what can I do to combat this? We've celebrated a whole week of Nelson Mandela's achievements. We've looked at this man and we looked at what he achieved. What are we now going to achieve with the problem that is in the heart of our city?
OK, so you see a society-wide solution. I mean, what do you make of attempts so far to do something about all this? There's been an advertising campaign, for instance, just saying to young people, don't be silly, don't carry a knife. You're more likely to become a victim of knife crime if you do that.
I think the government been good in trying to be innovative and using the media. I myself use the media. I host a chat show called On Point where, I talk to young people and I give them encouragement, all that kind of stuff. But the problem is there's no bait. There's no incentive to get young people to watch those adverts, right? They just switch off. And again, every advert advertises a product or a service. Now, to my knowledge, it's not advertising anything. It's not saying, you know, put down these knives so you can hurt yourself and give us a call if you need some help. If you feel unsafe, come to us and we support you. It's not doing that, and that's the problem. We need to have that support. We need to give them a way out. We need to give them an option. Put the knives and guns down, yes. Pick up education, pick up career, pick up confidence, pick up self-esteem, pick up purpose. You know, the purpose of life is a life of purpose, and a lot of young people just don't have any purpose. So they don't respect their life, they're not going to respect anyone else's.
I mean, and what do you make of other initiatives such as increased criminalization? Prison sentences for anyone caught carrying a knife, things like that? Well,
I mean, the statistics will show you that increasing laws and prison sentences, whatever, doesn't actually have a direct effect on young people. I think crime has gone down to some extent, but the amount of young people being in prisons has rose by, I think it's a quarter or a third. So, I mean, that's not really the way forward, and 80% of people convicted come out and re-offend anyway. So it's not really the way forward, but there is a need to be strong. There is a need to kind of, you know, draw the line, and but I think that's not really the best way to go about it, to be honest with you.
And at the heart of it, as you've identified, there is attacking this issue of purposelessness. I mean, I suppose knives are a symptom as much as anything else. If people feel like that, they're going to find a way of expressing their anger, of attacking someone with whatever weapon comes to hand.
I read a blog to do one of the comments I left, and someone left a really interesting comment. They said, look, after you take away the knives and the guns, are you going to take away pillows because they can suffocate people? Are you also going to take away sticks and stones because they can also take out an eye? You know, they're being a bit tongue-in-cheek there, but I understand what they're saying, because these are just the weapons of choice. You take them away, they're going to find something else. Just like in prison, they use toothbrushes and saw them down to stab someone. So we need to look at their aggression, we need to look at their conflict resolution. Not necessarily the weapons, but it's the mindsets that these young people have.
Must end it there. Nathan John, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me on.
North London coming up.